wrestling and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
I'm going to be honest, Grayson. I'm struggling.
What's going on?
I don't know if I'm going to make it through this last hour, man. Allergies are killing me right now.
You know what? That reminds me, I need to go pick up some allergy medicine.
No, if I start sneezing uncontrollably, you're just going to have to take the reins, man. Going to have to filibuster.
I got you.
That might be the only solution. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. If you want to chime in throughout the show here, this is Locked In, your hour of OU football and recruiting every single day here on the Ref. Brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Family owned and operated. Half-price oil changes on Saturdays is one of their calling cards. But if you're in the market for a new vehicle, GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the market today. So go out to Dorsey Jones in El Reno and check them out. We appreciate their partnership here on Locked In. Grayson, Jake Krell is on the board. We knew that yesterday on the show, but we spent the majority of the program talking about the addition of Krell and the non-addition of Davian Gross. And, of course, it's great news that the Sooners landed their third and perhaps final defensive end addition of the cycle in Krell. But Oklahoma remains thin at the wide receiver position. Only one commit to date, Daniel Odom, the four-star out of California. Would it be inaccurate to say that wide receiver looks like the weak spot for Oklahoma right now in the 26th cycle?
It's not only accurate to say, I think it's the only answer. I mean, sure, offensive line probably not as probably not as big of a class as you would want. Corner, you've got a small class, but that's by design. I think wide receiver is the only answer where you are weak, especially when given the state of what the roster is going to look like in the coming years.
As it stands right now, Oklahoma's only set to graduate 2 wide receivers next year in Deion Burks and Keontez Lewis. So in terms of sheer need, maybe there isn't as much of a need there as we had anticipated. But still, Grayson, one of the things you can count on every single offseason is you're going to have outbound transfers at wide receiver because there aren't going to be enough passes to go around.
Mm-hmm.
And in an offense where the tight end you'd expect is going to play a more prominent role in 2025, where Jaden Ott might factor in as a pretty prominent pass-catching weapon in his own right, well, how many wide receivers in this offense do you think reasonably can get the type of action that they're looking for in terms of targets? I mean, I would say no more than 5, 6, if that.
Yeah. Especially when you consider that Jaden Ott is going to be a presence in the passing game. Keep that in mind, too. Oklahoma didn't throw the ball to the running backs too much last year, but Jaden Ott is going to be a dude that if you want to get creative with him, and if Ben Arbuckle wants to, you can line him up in the slot. He does have that skill set. So now that you're talking about cutting into not just targets, but snaps potentially for some wide receivers.
Oklahoma has 14 scholarship wide receivers right now. That's a lot, admittedly. That's probably due in part to the fact that Oklahoma got so ravaged last year at wide receiver that they were just like, okay, we're going to stockpile in 2025. We'll make sure we have enough guys. And so they have 14. Honestly, Grayson, it doesn't feel to me like Oklahoma has to have more than 2, but the question remains, how do you get to 2? Where does your other wide receiver come from in this 2026 cycle? And the answer that seems to be emerging, the most likely answer that seems to be emerging, is 3-star wideout Braden Allen from Lafayette Christian Academy in Lafayette, Louisiana. And we talked a little bit about him on Monday. We did not talk a ton about Braden Allen. But it's out there. It's publicly consumable news at this point that Oklahoma is not only in the market to flip Braden Allen, but there's a visit that's more than likely going to come together here in the next couple of months. He visited OU for the Crimson Combine back in April, so he is familiar with campus. He did not pick up the OU offer until this past weekend, but the Sooners did maintain contact with him throughout the summer. So they've been building to this for quite a while. Now here we are in August, and they're starting to press a little harder to go and flip Braden Allen and get him in the class alongside Daniel Odom. Now, he is currently committed to Tulane. So, Tulane commit, obviously that's the type of guy that some fans, you can't please them with a guy like this, right? Oh, we're flipping G5 commits. Great. This is what things have come to under Jim Nagy at the University of Oklahoma. This program is dead. You're going to get some of that. You're going to get some of that. No doubt. However, Grayson, obviously you and I have watched the tape. Hopefully, fans that do their best to be adequately informed as far as levying recruiting takes have watched the tape before weighing in on a Braden Allen. But I think there's a lot to like about this kid. And, if I was just kind of ho-hum about him, I got no problem saying, like I remember in the spring saying that, or this past winter, I think it was January, saying that about Will Huggins. Like I'm just not really sure what OU sees in Will Huggins. I don't question that they see something, but it's not really there for me. There is something there to me with Braden Allen. This kid can play ball.
Yeah, he's a baller. Really good speed. I'm literally watching the highlights as we speak right now. Really good speed and also contested catch guy. And I think that's valuable in the SEC because you're going to be jammed on the line of scrimmage by corners who are huge. You're not always going to be able to generate the best of separation. So you've got to be able to reel in a ball when you are double covered or even single covered by a guy who is step for step with you and is a technically sound corner. And he can do that. He can go win the jump ball. He's got good size on him. I don't know if you've mentioned it, but he's 6'1", 170 right now going into his senior year of high school. So good size, really physical at the catch point, and he's fast. I like what I see here, and I don't think this is going to be a guy who gets into the building and just knocks everybody's socks off, a la Elijah Thomas, or on the defensive side, what Cortland Guillory's doing. But he can develop into a very good college wide receiver. I certainly believe that for sure.
There's a lot to like about this kid on tape. 6'1", 175, so he's got decent size. Doesn't have elite size, but 6'1", man, you'll take that. I mean, that could be an X receiver. That could be a Y receiver. He's the type of guy that you can find a variegated role for in the offense. He's not a one-trick pony. And in some cases, there's nothing wrong with a one-trick pony. Right? Like, to me, that's kind of what Ivan Carrion is, at least at this point in his development. Like, he's a size guy who can win with that catch radius. And he's not somebody that's going to blow past you. He's not somebody that's going to be a targets machine, a receptions machine over the middle. But what his game is, he does really well. With Braden Allen, I think he brings a real diverse skill set to the table. And it makes a lot of sense in looking over the tape why so many P4 schools are now in the market to flip him, because it's not just, oh, he's committed to Tulane, that was the best offer he had, and now, boom, here's Oklahoma getting involved. You have Ole Miss coming after this kid.
Mm-hmm.
You got Colorado trying to flip the kid. Vanderbilt has offered. Texas Tech has offered. There's plenty of P4 interest for Braden Allen, but the schools he seems to favor at this point in the process, at least theoretically speaking, and it's less theoretical with Oklahoma because he's actually been to campus, but he seems to really like Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Colorado right now. Obviously, a kid with these type of offers, you would expect that he does not wind up signing with Thune. So that commitment right now, I'm not even sure if that's really worth paying attention to, because he's a kid that has his sights set higher. I talked to him over the weekend, posted a full interview at OUinsider.com. He said, look, I want to play in the SEC. That's what I've aspired to. And he grew up an LSU guy, as many in the boot do. But he said, look, at a certain point, I began to realize, I could play anywhere and be content with it. LSU's not my dream school at this point anymore. So would LSU get involved at this point? Maybe there's a world where that happens, October, November. But even if they do, I don't think it would be a sure thing that Braden Allen would just immediately drop everything and go be a Tiger. And Oklahoma does have the leg up here in that they got him on campus this spring, which is more than you can say for Ole Miss and Colorado. Like, he's been to Oklahoma. He's seen everything. He's had conversations with the staff. And so there's an element of familiarity that I would say, Grayson, at this point, makes the Sooners the most poignant threat to flip Braden Allen from Tulane.
And that certainly seems what your cohorts at Rivals seem to think, too, is that they're in a pretty good spot to flip him if, indeed, he does flip. A couple of hilarious texts on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, Parker, 405-651-3439. A texter in the 405 says, have you checked your YouTube locked-in picture? I don't think anyone is buying you tossing a football that appears to be at least 2 times bigger than normal.
I'm going to have to pull up the YouTube stream now and look at my locked-in pick. A football that is at least 2,
It's one of your headshots from when we got headshots taken, and you're flipping the football. But because of how the camera was, it makes the football look massive.
Okay, yes. It's a perspective thing, folks.
Exactly.
It's a perspective thing. The football isn't actually that big.
Slim Brady also weighs in. He says his quarterback, talking about Braden Allen's quarterback, is booty cheeks too, which, that quarterback doesn't do him a whole lot of favors.
Yeah, man. And I think that's what makes the tape pop all the more, too. It's like he's having to go get these. He's having to go reel these passes in. They're not just falling in his lap.
And that's what I'm saying. Because his quarterback has kind of underthrown a couple of balls, he's had to go up and over the top of some of these DBs, which goes to show he's got really strong hands, and he's physical at the catch point and can bring down those contested balls.
JT and Solsa says, wake me up when it's his day to commit. Tulane will come in with a bigger NIL offer, and OU won't match. We all know the pattern now. Man, there's a lot of negativity surrounding wide receiver recruiting, and I understand it. I'm not going to try to talk anyone out of that. It's been one groin kick after another in the 26 cycle for Oklahoma when it comes to wideouts. The bleeper says, go ahead, Parker. Keep trying to convince us that Allen is an adequate replacement for the real dudes we lost out on because we were cheap. Yeah, okay, look, if we're just looking at this in a binary sense, would I rather have Davian Gross or would I rather have Braden Allen? Obviously, I'd rather have Braden Allen. Davian Gross. Oklahoma would also rather have Davian Gross. That's why they didn't offer Braden Allen until, shortly before Davian Gross committed. They still thought they were getting Davian Gross at the time. So Allen is clearly a guy that they felt good enough to make a move on regardless of the outcome with Gross. But would you rather have Allen or Gross? You'd rather have Gross. That's fair to say.
Let me ask you this question, Park. Oh, go ahead. Finish that thought.
Yeah, no, I was just going to finish the point by saying, does Allen also demonstrate skills on tape that could make him a very valuable weapon in the passing game at Oklahoma? Yes, it's not a waste of a scholarship.
Yeah, no, nothing close to that. I do want to ask you this. In your years of covering recruiting and talking to kids and whatnot, do you ever get the sense that some of these kids know that they weren't on these schools' plans before certain things happen, and they know that they're kind of a plan B, plan C option? And if so, how do they tend to view that when that comes up?
It really depends. It really depends. I think for a guy like Allen who's committed to a G5 school right now, I don't think he's necessarily turned off by it.
Okay.
But if there's a guy that has a bunch of other P4 offers already, And it becomes clear, and there's one school that maybe he really has a preference for, really likes, and it becomes clear that he's a plan B, plan C option, or maybe an option that they just never will actually pull the trigger on at all, then that's when they can tend to get jaded. I'm trying to think of some recent examples, guys, for which this has happened. I know Oklahoma never offered Parker Livingston 2024 four-star wide receiver, wound up signing with Texas, and I think he's going to start this fall for the Longhorns. But he played his high school ball down at Lovejoy High in the DFW area.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of waiting on Oklahoma. And at a certain point, he realized, okay, I'm clearly not a priority for these guys. So I'm going to go play for one of the schools that is prioritizing me. And Texas was one of those schools. I'm trying to think who the other ones were. Is it Arizona State, maybe? I don't recall. In any case, he went to Texas. Texas made him a priority from a very early stage. And he decided, you know what, they value me there more so than they do at Oklahoma. I'm going to go play there. So it's kind of a case-by-case thing, and that's just kind of recruiting, right? Trends generally hold, and there are stereotypes, and there are blanket judgments that you can make that will generally hold true, but everything in recruiting is a case-by-case basis because in a fundamental sense, what is recruiting? Recruiting consists of decisions being made by 17-year-old kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get inside the head of a 17-year-old kid and reliably understand all of what is going on within. You might have a pretty clear picture. You might also be completely off base. That's part of the reason, Grayson, why Monday afternoon can roll around and Oklahoma still feels like, based on their conversations with Davian Gross, oh, the kid's committing here. And then he commits to Florida. Dealing with 17-year-olds is difficult. We were all 17 once. And thankfully, since we've all been 17, we all know the things that go through a 17-year-old's head and the emotions that a 17-year-old experiences, I should say, and the amount of things that can change on a dime in your own psyche at that age based on a variety of external factors. Southpaw Sooner says, you really need to keep receipts on all these boomer-doomers that are all over Nagy and the fact that we aren't paying money for receivers. I stand by the belief that we are paying what they think the players are worth, and if it means we miss on a player or two, so be it. In the long run, we have a better overall squad and are in a better position as we move forward. Am I missing something or what? No, Southpaw Sooner, I think you're just more patient than the typical fan. That's what it boils down to is patience. A lot of people feel like they need to have an opinion on the job that Jim Nagy is doing. And I said this yesterday, I'll say it again. You don't have to have an opinion right now. You can reserve judgment. It's okay. It's been 6 months of Jim Nagy as Oklahoma's general manager. The Sooners have not played a football game in those 6 months. It is okay to reserve judgment until we have more data on which to go off. Not only as it pertains to how Oklahoma is recruiting and how this team is performing on the football field, but also how some of the guys that Jim Nagy and his front office like are performing at the collegiate level, or how some of the guys that Jim Nagy and his front office staff don't like wind up performing at the collegiate level. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Always love engaging with all of you via the text line, and we will do so on the other side. Keep it here on the Ref. The Home of Sooner fans, more ahead.
This is the Ref Sports Radio Network.
M&S Construction's retirement auction hits Purple Wave on July 31st. Over 60 pieces of quality used construction equipment, from hydrovac trucks to trenchers, all in Oklahoma. Purple Wave's transparent, no-reserve process ensures fair bidding for everyone. Our detailed listings and photos let you bid with confidence. Plus, connect directly with sellers for more information. Get registered for free. View the equipment and start bidding at purplewave.com.
More than 600,000 Oklahomans have disabilities. We can't afford to leave great employees behind just because they do things differently.
Who we are and what we accomplish
are much more important.
Hire an Oklahoman with a disability and gain dependability, commitment, and lower turnover. Reach out. Oklahoma Rehabilitation Services, okdrs.gov, 1-800-845-8476.
At Cavender Ford of OKC, we believe in more than just selling cars. We believe in building relationships based on trust, transparency, and treating you like family. For more than 80 years, the Cavender Auto family has built our business on these simple, important values. We call it doing things the Cavender way. Cavender Ford of OKC would like to welcome all Putnam City Schools, parents, students, faculty, and staff to visit us at 7320 Northwest Expressway. Confidence is Cavender.
Beats and Bites Festival is back again at Riverwind Casino, where good grooves and great food are on tap all summer long. Join us September 5th for Gary Allen, along with crave-worthy eats from local food trucks. There's something for everyone. Get your tickets online or at the box office for just $10. Only at Riverwind Casino.
Tired of feeling pressured by salespeople when shopping for auto insurance? At Right Way Insurance, there's no hard sell, just a clear, straightforward approach. We work with multiple insurance companies to give you the best options and rates with no gimmicks. You'll get the right coverage tailored to your needs, all while avoiding hidden fees and confusing policies. So if you're ready for a better experience with auto insurance, visit rightwayinsuranceok.com or call 405-607-6014 for your free quote today. Right Way Insurance, no pressure, just the right insurance for you.
Whether you're celebrating a special occasion, desire a great postgame, or after-work dining experience, the Ranch Steakhouse is the winning choice. At Ranch Steakhouse, we're grilling up the best USDA prime steaks in Oklahoma. Juicy, flavorful, and cooked to perfection. Pair that with an unbeatable atmosphere, a killer drink selection, and a wine list of over 400 personally curated bottles. Whether you're toasting the game or winding down after a big day, Ranch Steakhouse is where champions eat.
Stand Up to Cancer asked leading cancer researchers to speak about why they do their work.
Two words come to mind for me. One is responsibility, the other is purpose.
It's just so inspiring to do research that impacts human lives.
Stand Up to Cancer has been a critical partner in advancing research for cancer.
Cancer research saves lives.
So please, help us fight in this battle against cancer.
Be a part of the team that ends cancer at standuptocancer.org.
Many of our U.S. veterans and service members face challenges, mental health struggles, housing obstacles, food insecurity, and social isolation, to name just a few. I'm Bob Woodruff. My family and I started the Bob Woodruff Foundation in 2006 after I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq. Our service members had my back that day, and we need to have theirs now more than ever. At our foundation, we invest in solutions, so learn more about our work at bobwoodrufffoundation.org/success.
This is also worth mentioning as it pertains to Grayson Allen. The 3-star Tulane commits at wide receiver that the Sooners are now attempting to flip. The state of Louisiana, Grayson, churns out wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
Even wide receivers that in the moment, at the time, coming out of high school, don't seem like they're going to be certified studs at the next level. Think about some of the outstanding wideouts that have come through the prep ranks in the state of Louisiana over the years. The one that immediately springs to mind, he was a 2-star, right, is Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Justin Jefferson was a 2-star. But can I direct your attention, for instance, to the class of 2021 in the state of Louisiana?
Okay.
LSU, and as we know, LSU kind of has a fence built around the boot to a certain extent. They can get who they want to get within state lines with very few exceptions. LSU signed 5 wide receivers in the 2021 class from within state lines. 5 of them. I can't recall the last time Oklahoma signed 5 wide receivers out of high school in a single class, let alone from the same state. They signed Sage Ryan, Chris Hilton. You may know that guy.
Yeah, good player.
Malik Neighbors, you may have heard of him as well.
Really good player.
Jack Besh, second-round draft pick of the Las Vegas Raiders this past year.
Mm-hmm.
And the 5th guy was a fellow by the name of Brian Thomas.
Pretty good player.
Who was one of the top rookies in the entire NFL last year, regardless of position. Went well over 1,000 receiving yards. There was also a very talented wide receiver who you can argue was better than any of those guys from within state lines that year that LSU just didn't recruit. I mean, in large part because you can only take so many, right? That was Keon Coleman.
Huh.
So obviously that class alone is a little bit of an outlier. But still, if you comb through the recent classes within the last decade in the state of Louisiana and just explore some of the wide receivers, some of the talented wideouts that have come through the prep ranks in the boot, it's deep, man. It's a crazy deep group.
I looked up just now on Pro Football Reference NFL wide receivers that have come out of the state of Louisiana, and this goes back a little bit. But if you start from most recent and go all the way back, here's some of the names. Odell Beckham Jr., C.D. Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Devontae Smith is from the state of Louisiana, Dontavian Wicks with the Packers, Kayshon Boutte, Malik Neighbors, Jarvis Landry, Russell Gage, and how about this blast from the past? Remember this guy? Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace. Man, that's a good pull. He was a speedster for the Pittsburgh Steelers for many years.
He was one of the fastest guys in the league at one point in time.
He could really run. But I think to kind of condense the point here, if you're going to bet on a 3-star wide receiver, you can do a lot worse than betting on a 3-star wide receiver from the state of Louisiana, especially a guy with tape as good as Braden Allen's.
Dude's got some skill. Dude's got some real skill. I'm interested to see what his recruitment ends up looking like come signing day.
KW918 says, forgive those of us that dare question Nagy and company thinking OU shouldn't be missing on recruits to the likes of OSU, Rutgers, Nebraska, Baylor, and Illinois. To be clear, KW, as I said yesterday, if you question Jim Nagy, I'm not going to try to talk you out of that opinion. I'm not going to say you're definitively wrong. I am going to say it's premature to say that Jim Nagy was a bad hire or that this whole thing is headed off a cliff. It's been half of one recruiting cycle with Jim Nagy at the helm as Oklahoma's GM. That's not enough data to be able to reliably levy an opinion. You will not hear me say that Jim Nagy was a definitively good hire. You will not hear me say that Jim Nagy was a definitively bad hire until we have a lot more data to make that judgment. But the second half of K-Dub's text reads, to be fair, there was a 17-year-old wide receiver right down the road in Mason James who would have loved to be a Sooner, but they botched it along with the entire wide receiver class this year. I've said all that I've needed to say in the past about my opinion on Mason James. Love the kid. Think he's going to be a spectacular college football player. Think he has a professional future. That opinion is not shared in the Oklahoma front office. That's fine. It's the name of the game. When it comes to evaluations, when it comes to scouting, when it comes to recruiting, it's all subjective. So you got to figure out who you can trust, who you should trust. Now, I like to think I've got a pretty solid eye for talent. Over the years, I would say the reputation that I've cultivated would indicate that generally I know what I'm looking at. That doesn't mean I'm going to be right about everything. Jim Nagy's been scouting professionally and with a lot higher stakes for 6 times as long as I have. 5 or 6 times as long as I have. So I like Mason James. Seen him in person so many times. And even the games I haven't seen in person, obviously gone back and watched the tape on. I love his game. Jim Nagy doesn't. That's okay. Here's the thing, and this is something that Nagy has expressed time and time and time again. In order for Oklahoma to make a move on a high school recruit, he's got to be a guy that gets the stamp from everybody involved in the evaluation process, because, and I'm paraphrasing Nagy's own words here, there are enough high school football players across the country that if we're divided on a certain guy, we can just walk away and we'll be able to go find another guy of comparable ability that we all can agree on. So Mason James probably won't be the last guy that we are sitting here conversing on the radio about, or on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line about, wondering why on earth Oklahoma doesn't think more highly of him. Now, I couldn't articulate all of those reasons nearly as authoritatively, nor probably as comprehensively as Jim Nagy himself. But here's what I do know. There are a lot of very talented high school wide receivers across the country, of which Braden Allen is one. And if this Sooner staff decides we'd rather go get Braden Allen than try and mend the fences with Mason James, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. I will allow them runway to prove me wrong.
This is an interesting text, Parker. A text from the 405 says the business model is bang for the buck.
It's a good way of looking at it, I think. Bang for I mean, that's what you're looking for in general, right? If you are making a financial transaction of any kind, if you are looking to purchase a good or a service, aren't you looking for bang for the buck?
Let me add to that, because yes, you do, but you and I have different things based on the different ways that we live our lives that we're going to spend more money for. So, like, there's certain things that you're going to be frugal with, but then there's one or two things that you're going to pay top dollar for. And I'm the same way. So, I think the fan base, and it maybe hasn't been displayed to the fan base enough, it almost seems as if you're trying to go bang for your buck with everything and not paying that top dollar for certain things, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And look, there's a limit on everything, right? Like, even the things that you might believe you're inclined to pay top dollar for, there's also a prohibitive price point, right?
Yes, true.
So, for instance, I would sit here and say that if Oklahoma decides to take the cheap route with Peyton Houston, for instance, I will go commit arson at the Switzer Center. For legal reasons, that's a joke, by the way. To be clear, that's a joke. But if they cheapen out on pursuing Peyton Houston, that's pretty indefensible to me. But there could also become a point at which you have a pretty healthy offer on the table for Peyton Houston, an offer that is a lot by anyone's standards, and then there's another school that comes along and just completely blows the market out of the water for the kid. And what are you going to do at that point? Are you going to pay 50%, 60% more than what you feel is top dollar for a player of that caliber? Or are you just going to pack it in and go find somebody else? I tend to believe what Oklahoma would probably do in that circumstance is they would just go find somebody else. Because it makes better sense financially to just go pick up a different quarterback that is more bang for the buck, if you will, because what you save in your pursuit of a quarterback can be allocated elsewhere on the roster. I think so many tend to see recruiting as this binary process where you're spending the money or you're not, right? You're spending for Davian Gross or you're saving it. and it's just sitting in the bank. No, every dollar is going somewhere. Oklahoma was prepared to commit a large sum of money to Davian Gross, but Davian Gross chose the University of Florida. Now Oklahoma can do one of two things. That money that they had set aside for Davian Gross, they can go apply it to another wide receiver target, or they can go apply it to a target or multiple targets at other positions. Jim Nagy is not sitting in his office with a vault of cash across the table from him that just remains untouched. No, all of the resources that they have at their disposal are going to be deployed in the 2026 cycle. They may not be deployed in exactly the manner that we anticipate or would have anticipated months ago that they would be deployed, but Oklahoma is not just going to sit around with a huge chunk of change in the piggy bank collecting dust for no reason. Justin, formerly Yoda, on the text line says, Parker, you just gave me clarity in my life. Thank you, friend. Happy to have done so, Justin, formerly Yoda. I miss the days when you were Yoda. But I'm glad I've helped to provide you some clarity in life. 405-651-3439 is where you can chime in and let us know if we've provided clarity to your life throughout the show. We have one segment yet to come. So let's go ahead, hit one final break, hear from our sponsors here on the Ref, and when we return, we'll wrap up with more of your texts and more OU football and Crootin talk. Stay right here.
Sound off any time of day on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA.
At Confidence Ford of Norman, we believe in living up to our name. Our commitment to confidence is in everything we do. Whether you're searching for the perfect vehicle from our extensive selection of new Ford models or pre-owned cars, our dedicated team will help you every step of the way. Because with us, you're family. We're conveniently located at 825 North Interstate Drive. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender Auto family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Looking for a company that can do both pest control and lawn care? Look no further than Atlas Pest Control and Atlas Lawn Care. Locally owned and trusted since 1959, serving Edmond, Yukon, Newcastle, Blanchard, Midwest City, Norman, Moore, Del City, and the OKC area. Atlas has complete pest and lawn coverage all in one place. Call today for your no-obligation quote and experience service from professionally trained technicians who care about your property as much as you do. Atlas Pest Control and Lawn Care, 405-321-4643.
Hi, this is Lisa Talley, broker and owner of Aria Real Estate Group. Aria Real Estate Group is Norman's premier full-service commercial and residential real estate brokerage and leasing and management firm. With our team of real estate agents, specialized property managers, and in-house maintenance team, Aria is here for you in every capacity. Whether you're a seller, a buyer, an investor, or a renter, we can help. Please explore our website at ariagroupok.com. Aria Real Estate Group, the gold standard of real estate.
It's a gunner! A gunner! A home run for Lars Nootbaar!
This is Lars Nootbaar. Get ready to celebrate. It's AAPI Heritage Day at Busch Stadium on Sunday, August 10th, when we host the Cubs. With a special themed ticket, fans will take home a limited edition Year of the Snake cap, designed by St. Louis artist Tracy Nguyen. Come early for a lively pregame celebration in Budweiser Terrace. Best of all, a portion of each ticket benefits the Very Asian Foundation. Grab yours now at cardinals.com/theme. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hey Sooner fans, football season is almost here, and this season, Boyd Street is the place to be. Hey, it's Plank. I'll be broadcasting live from Boyd Street Ventures offices before every home game right in the heart of the action. Boyd Street Ventures is a venture capital firm investing in under-the-radar startups connected to Oklahoma. Founded by OU alum James Spann, these aren't just good stories. They're real companies driving innovation, creating jobs, and aiming for big returns. Their Fund 1 closes December 31st, so check them out at BoydStreetVentures.com. Boyd Street Ventures, under the radar, above the crowd.
From the bench to your defense. Tracy Schumacher, a former district judge, former Cleveland County prosecutor, and now your voice in a DUI fight. Your driver's license could be at risk. Time is critical. If you've been charged with DUI in Cleveland, McLean, Grady, or Garvin County, you need someone who knows how the system works. Schumacher Law Group at 405-701-1882 or visit lawgroupok.com. From the bench to your defense when experience matters.
Looking for a better way to bank? Join OU Federal Credit Union and experience the difference. If you are tired of hidden fees and impersonal service at your big bank, well, you deserve better, and that's what you'll find at OU Federal Credit Union. They offer competitive rates on loans and savings accounts. Plus, they're a local member-owned institution. Join OU Federal Credit Union today and discover the benefits of being a part of a community that cares. Visit OUFCU.com or stop by the branches today. Member savings insured up to $250,000 by NCUA.
Final segment of Locked In here on the Ref for the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. Hey, I'm out here at Cavens Group today. Always love being out here. Gary and the folks are phenomenal. If you experience an environmental disaster of any kind at your home or business, Cavens Group, those are the folks you're going to want to hit up. In OKC, 405-573-3048. If you're in the Tulsa metro area, 918-282-7612. Or you can check them out at www.cavensgroup.com. Available 24/7, 365 to provide immediate aid with whatever issue you may be facing at your home or business. Fire, water, mold, hazmat, crime scene cleanup, emergency board-up services. Cavens does it all. Outlaw Devil on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line says, we are done with commitment season and moving on to flip season. Ain't that the truth? Well, not quite done, actually. Still got to wait out T-Ron Richardson. This is a recruitment that we've talked about some. We haven't talked about it a lot, but this really takes center stage for the next 2 weeks, Grayson. T-Ron Richardson, the uncommitted 3-star defensive tackle from Hopewell, Virginia, will announce on August 26th. He is the last uncommitted OU target left on the board in the 2026 cycle. Once T-Ron Richardson makes his announcement on the 26th, then flip season is officially upon us because there is nothing left at that point.
Well, that's fun. Here, what's the latest reading? Let me ask you this. Before we get to who possibly Oklahoma could flip, what's your reading on the T-Ron Richardson situation as it stands now?
I like the good guys, man. Think Oklahoma leads. 2 weeks from the finish line, obviously a lot can change. And a lot does change. Perhaps a lot will change with T-Ron Richardson. But I've been getting the exact same word with regard to his process for about the last 2 months now, which is that it's OU till it ain't. The feedback from folks close to that process has been pretty positive, been pretty strong on Oklahoma for T-Ron. So that's the assumption I am operating under, is that until I hear otherwise, I believe Oklahoma is in line to get his commitment. 405-651-3439. Once again, that is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. And as flip season arrives, a couple names you're going to want to watch. We talked about Braden Allen. Another one that's kind of flying under the radar, Grayson. We talked about him back when he was offered, but haven't talked about him a whole lot since then. Jacob Curry, the 3-star Northwestern commit, the cracker backer, as we like to call him. The redhead from St. Augustine, Florida. I'm of the belief he's going to be in town for the Michigan game as of right now.
Okay.
Those plans are still being finalized, still being locked in. But I expect two things to happen. First off, I don't think Jacob Curry is going to stick with his commitment to Northwestern. And secondly, I think he's going to OV to Oklahoma for the Michigan game. It's what I'm hearing as of now. And so that could be another very viable flip possibility for the Sooners. And one that could happen on an earlier timetable than the Braden Allen flip. Because Braden Allen, even if Oklahoma is able to flip him, you're probably not going to see anything materialize until he gets back on campus, which for him won't be until the Auburn game on September 20th. So we actually may see a resolution in the case of Jacob Curry before we find out what the outcome will be with Braden Allen.
And keep this in mind, too, with Jacob Curry, is that Oklahoma only has Ja'Cory Smith and Bo Jandro committed as linebackers. They need more depth there. They're going to have to reload very quickly at linebacker. So Jacob Curry, even though you and I both see him as more developmental than Ja'Cory Smith and Bo Jandro, obviously all of them are developmental, but Curry more so than the other two. But you do need more bodies there. So he would be an interesting addition to the class, and I would dare venture to say a very necessary addition to the class if they're able to flip him.
Elsewhere on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, KW918 says, great show as always, boys. Grayson, good luck on your next endeavor when it starts, bro. What is your next endeavor?
There is not one in the works right now. I will say that. I will go ahead and just say that. But
okay, I was like, dang, do we have to say goodbye?
No, no, not anytime soon as of now. But thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Again, 405-651-3439. 5-star Gunny of Stutzman Army wants to know, how is T-Ron spelled? Well, it's spelled how it sounds. It's the letter T followed by the name Ron with a dash in between. T-Ron. That's it.
So,
T-Ron Richardson.
So think R. Mason Thomas, except without the hyphen.
Yeah, without the hyphen. That was always interesting to me. Like, R. Mason Thomas doesn't have any hyphen. Nothing. The R doesn't stand for anything. It's just an R.
Wait, so the R doesn't stand for anything?
No, it's just R. Mason.
Okay.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. T-Ron Richardson the same? The T just is there?
Yeah, just there. I don't believe it stands for anything.
Okay.
T-Ron. 5-star Randy says, with this offense facing what is probably one of the toughest defenses in the country every day in practice, will there be a lot of teams they face that will seem like facing the twos instead of the ones? I mean, especially early in the season, yes, I would think so. You think that Oklahoma offense is going to have any trouble moving down the field against Temple or Kent State? Shoot, I don't think they'll have much trouble moving the ball down the field against Missouri. Problem is, everybody else in the SEC is pretty formidable on the defensive side of the ball.
And Michigan.
And also Michigan, certainly. A 918 listener says, Braden Allen's film looks good. Shrugging emoji. Yeah, it sure does, doesn't it? If you actually watch the tape, it's like, okay, this is an OU caliber guy. He may be committed to Tulane right now, but this is a P4 football player. JP Sooner says, the cracker backer. Hell yeah, brother.
See, I'm going to treat this one as the reverse N-word and not say this one.
It's okay. I'll give you the pass. I will give you the pass.
You will not be getting it from me, though.
Okay, fair enough. It's okay, dude. That doesn't necessarily have to be a reciprocal offer. Oh, Sooner Judd says, as we speak, Gunny is currently trying to figure out how to misspell T-Ron. Yeah, probably so. Dave from Norman says, the R in R. Mason Thomas stands for Ricky. I don't know if that's serious or if there's a joke there that I'm missing, but no, his name's just R. Mason.
I feel like we could have possibly opened up Pandora's box to that one.
Danny Stutzman, he probably got a few people in the media room on this after R. Mason Thomas's first game. as a Sooner back in 2022. He said, yeah, we call him Randall because that's what that R stands for, is Randall. And, of course, Danny was being Danny and trolling. But there probably were a few people that took it seriously.
Randall.
580 Mike Honcho says, say it. Who, me or Grayson?
I was about to say, me or Parker, because one or the other's getting kicked off the air.
Hello. Oh, Outlaw Devil says, does Mo Bentley have any teammates that might be attractive to recruit? Offhand, for OU, no. But I don't know. I'm going to get out to a couple of Salina games this fall. So if I see anybody that catches my eye, I'll certainly pass that along. But, yeah, offhand, I don't think Salina has much in terms of top-end P4 talent outside of Bo Bentley. Angry Ronnie says, Ronnie Mason Thomas. I'm sure you'd love that, wouldn't you, Angry Ronnie? Frisco Sooner says, so let me get this straight. While Texas is going after and getting Ryan Wingos, Kalik Lockett's, and DeCorian Moores, they didn't get DeCorian Moore. He went to Oregon, to be clear. OU is going to try to win with Zion Reagans and KJ Daniels. Not to single those kids out, but I'm sorry, that's not a winning formula. I mean, I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I get where you're going with the point, and it's a fair one. A couple things to consider. First off, Texas has insane money. Oklahoma has money. They don't have insane money. Texas has certifiably insane money. You remember when Pete Nakos of On3 did that poll of dozens of different college football coaches and administrators and front office execs last month, and he was asked, hey, who's spending the most right now? Number one wasn't Texas Tech. Texas Tech was number two. Number one was Texas. I know what it costs for Texas to get Ryan Wingo. I know what it would have cost them to get DeCorian Moore. I don't know the number on Kalik Lockett. But let's just say that with what Texas paid to land Ryan Wingo, and keep in mind, that was in the fall of 2023 that they had to win a head-to-head recruiting battle with Missouri, who was spending money indiscriminately at the time. Texas paid Ryan Wingo, to my knowledge, Texas paid more for Ryan Wingo than Oklahoma paid this offseason for John Mateer.
Really?
The numbers for five-star wide receivers are berserk, Grayson. Berserk. Like, unless you wind up with a Jeremiah Smith, it really doesn't make a ton of financial sense to go sign a five-star wide receiver. Like, if you're going to do it, you better hope you get Jeremiah Smith.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the wide receiver market looks like the quarterback market in the NFL?
I think just because, it's a position at which how can I say this? It's saturated. The market is saturated with wide receiver talent. There are a lot of wide receivers over the years. Or I should say every.
But shouldn't that lower the price, though? Are you good? Thune?
Did you hear anything there? Was I the only one that heard that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, you're the only one that heard that.
Interesting. For like 10 seconds there, someone, I think it was Tyler, was in my ear doing a sound check from somewhere. I couldn't tell where.
Nope, that was
was odd.
He's definitely at the Edmond Buffalo Wild Wings. I can tell you where he probably is.
Okay, so yeah, that's right. That is today. So yes.
But nope.
Yes, I had
you're
Tyler.
The only one.
I had Tyler in my ear doing a sound check for 10 seconds. That didn't go out over the air?
No, you saying whoa did, and I thought you just like dodged a bomb or something. Like, what's going on here?
No, unfortunately, it was not anything near that dramatic. Cam says, you say you know how much UT paid for a receiver. Let your listeners know how much. Look, I never say the actual numbers. It's not my place to do so. I'll give you ballpark figures. I'll give you figures relative to other figures. And the best way I can say it is what I just said, which is Texas paid more for Ryan Wingo than Oklahoma paid for John Mateer, to my knowledge, at least.
Which is still kind of wild.
It is. But as the point I was making was there are just so many wide receiver prospects every single year that are capable of playing P4 ball that when you feel like you have a truly elite guy, there will be schools that are willing to pay a massive premium to feel like they have a true difference maker at a position where you're going to have a bunch of guys that are solid players, right?
Yeah.
So that's about the best way I can encapsulate it. Okay, we're done here on Locked In. Coming up next, Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman from the Buffalo Wild Wings in Edmond. Today marks our NFL giveaway. So if you're in the Edmond area, go stop by Buffalo Wild Wings off I-35. That's where Tyler and Ted will be for the next 4 hours. Keep it here on the Ref. The home of Sooner fans, there is much more ahead.